Hey friends, so grab your favorite blanket and a cup of tea and get comfortable and let's get weird. I'm Panda Bennett and I'm back on my 3 a.m. bullshit, which means my husband no longer wants to talk about this stuff with me, so here I am to talk to you guys about the Mandela Effect, consciousness immortality, and collective timeline awakenings, and all the other weird stuff that we can get our hands on. So get comfortable, and I asked you guys on Instagram if anyone would be interested in discussing this, and so for anyone that doesn't know, the Mandela Effect is the term when a mass group of people misremember something that did not actually happen. So they say. So some common and bigger examples of this, for example, and again, if you don't remember these things, or if you do remember these things, definitely leave me a comment down below, because that will kind of tell what timeline you're on. And I think that we could start to track this. I don't even know how to get into it. But anyways, so the Mandela Effect is where a group of unrelated people remember something that didn't actually happen. So a few of the big ones for me is like the Berenstein Bears, the children's books and shows. The Berenstein Bears did not exist. It apparently, even though I would bet my left fingers on this, it is the Berenstein, S-T-A-I-N, Berenstein Bears. And it has always been, apparently. I have not been able to dig out my children's books, but I know that this happened. And you guys can call me crazy. It was never the Berenstein Bears. It was the Berenstein Bears. Another thing that I can remember is Tom Cruise in Risky Business wearing an oversized white shirt and no pants and black Ray-Ban sunglasses dancing in that iconic scene. That also did not happen. In fact, if you go back and do any looking, he's not wearing any sunglasses in that scene, and he is wearing a very fitted, almost too short, like very undersized pink button-down shirt. And I know that he was wearing like white socks, oversized white shirts, black sunglasses, but that again, under the Mandela Effect, because I'm not the only person that remembers that, did not happen. Another example of this is the Fruit of the Loom logo. I would swear that it used to have the fruit and the cornucopia on it behind it, and it's one of the reasons I know what a cornucopia is. I remember discussing this, and that is not a thing. And so there are many, many of these things. We could do this all day, just listing things that the people, different groups that are under the Mandela Effect, I guess, remember that didn't actually exist. But another huge one for me is the Publishers Clearinghouse when I was young. That the Publishers Clearinghouse, when Ed McMahon would come to your house, like the possibility that he would come to your house with a big paper check and a film crew and balloons and give you this, $1 million or whatever it was. That also was never, ever a thing. If you go back and do some looking, they say that Ed McMahon was never associated with Publishers Clearinghouse, and that Publishers Clearinghouse never ever went to anyone's house and like gave out like big cardboard checks, that it just wasn't a thing. I remember talking and like hearing my mom talk like, oh, just think if Ed McMahon came to my house and what would you do with this money? And oh, make sure when you get the Publishers Clearinghouse thing in the mail that we fill it out. And like, I know, you guys, I know that these things happened. So again, the brain, I will say this, the brain is an extremely complex, it does amazing, intense things. So like around trauma, the brain can almost make memories completely unrecognizable, building walls and safeguards. So like you go through this traumatic event and your brain can go back and change it into something that's more manageable for you, almost making it unrecognizable. So the brain definitely can alter and change things. However, these groups of people are across different countries, different age groups, people that were exposed to media, people that weren't as exposed to media. Again, when I was younger, this was the time, like, I wasn't on the computer all the time. I wasn't on the computer until like 2011. And like, because we just had old computers, we had floppy disks, we had Oregon's Trail. It just wasn't, we lived out in the country. Like we're a bunch of roughnecks that like spent our time outside wrestling calves. So when they say that media is like the influence or the reasoning for these large groups of people misremembering, there's a lot of like things that I could debate back and forth there as well. So if it isn't the Mandela effect and say these things really happened, but now we can't find any proof of these things that we know and remember, they say that this could be like a collective timeline jump, or that like someone's altered something in the timeline, but it didn't erase this collective memory that we all share and have. It just means that we're somewhere else in the timeline. Are you guys still with me? Or is it too weird? So I tried to open this conversation with my best friend Jade at like Sunday morning at like 1 o'clock in the morning. If I wait till 1 o'clock my time because she's in the UK, then it's like mid-morning her time and she's getting ready to go to work. But so I stayed up. I'm up already. I've been up. And I sent all this stuff to her. So then of course she fell down the hole of like looking up the different things that are some of the common things, like the Berenstein Bears and the Fruit of the Loom logo. There's a lot. The Mandela Effect is actually named because a large group of people remember Nelson Mandela dying, and dying after being in prison for a long time, which isn't true. And he didn't die until later. And when this was going on, and he was in fact still alive at that time. And they were like, no, I remember his funeral. I remember his death. And so that's where the Mandela Effect gets its name. So I know a bunch of you guys will probably go and look up these different things and see if you have any memory of them. When I approached my husband, so like I have trauma in my life, so my brain can definitely misremember or alter things. But however, when I went to my husband and I just asked him like 3 different questions, I was like, what was the name of the bears, you know, the books that we used to have? And he was like, Berenstein Bears. And I was like, and what did Tom Cruise wear in Risky Business? And he was like, an oversized white shirt and sunglasses and socks. And I was like, who was the guy that would come to your house with a big paper check? And he first said the wrong name. I can't remember what name that he said, some other actor. But then he did come around to Ed McMahon. I didn't say any other things. I didn't mention the Mandela Effect. And again, my husband had a total normal childhood, and he's like a very highly intelligent, normal person without trauma. Again, I did the same test with one of my friends that is in Australia, so like in a different country. So it's not just people that are in the US. Again, my friend Jade is in the UK. So yeah, you guys definitely look and see if you have things that you remember that are no longer there, or that apparently never existed. After you've fallen down that hole and looked up these different things, and I've absolutely ruined your day, as I've done to several different people by opening this conversation, definitely come back and let me know. Let me know if there's things like on the different lists. But I was talking to my friend Nick of Malachem Tarot about the Mandela Effect, and he said, you know, if it's the Berenstein versus the Berenstein Bears, and like that's the biggest thing like for my timeline that has changed. And I was like, but that, see, what if it's not the biggest thing? You're just realizing that this is a collective memory that you hold that didn't actually happen. So you have these memories. So either your timeline ended and you're existing in a different timeline as yourself, still holding those memories, or we've somehow jumped or altered the timeline, which especially this year, there's been several throughout the country, like over time, like big awakening shifts in what the country cares about, sees, just collective awakenings that could have maybe been actual timeline jumps. And so, but like with that, then maybe we just haven't realized the other bigger things. Like, yes, okay, the Fruit of the Loom logo, and there's something different in the Star Wars movies, like the robot, is it CPO, CP3? I don't watch those movies. I'm sorry, don't hate me. But he's not like gold, I guess. He's a different color, and that weirded a bunch of people out, like really ruined their lives. And they're like, but this really, on like a scale of 1 to 10, is like not a big deal. Okay, but these are just the things that we put together so far. Like, what are the other things, like military grade, pharmacy level, cancer cure type things that we remember, but that don't exist, that we haven't realized yet, or the information that we have from our timeline that we could apply to this timeline to help humanity, to help heal the earth. Like someone has to have something more, right, than just the Berenstein Bears switch, right? If we're in a different timeline. And why? Like, why? What happened? That, right? No? Just me? Someone discuss this with me. Tell me your thoughts. At 3 a.m., I was like thinking about this intensely, and I'd fallen down so many different theories and holes and Reddit threads, and I woke my husband up at 3 o'clock in the morning. We were staying in a motel because we took the kids to a water park, and I was like, come get in the bathroom, get in here. So we're standing in the shower because of course we got a suite like for the kids, and it ended up not being one of the like double room suites. It was all one. It was very nice, but it was all one and together. Parents, when you travel, definitely spend the extra money and get the like adjoining room suites for your kids. But anyways, so then we ended up just like having all of the kids in our bed, like sleeping sideways with feet in our face. And every time I tried to roll over, then I woke up either one of the two little kids, that kind of thing. So he gets up, we creep into the bathroom of the motel, shut the door, get in the shower. We're standing face to face. And I'm like, so I think that I've been dead for some time and I'm existing in a different timeline. I'm not sure if I should be concerned. And so then we started talking about all this, and he was like, I definitely thought I was going to get laid. I'm going back to bed. So he's not open to discuss it anymore. And it doesn't freak him out at all. He's like, yes, I remember these things, right? They didn't exist. I've come to terms with it. I am refused to just accept that. There's got to be something more with these collective memories. There has to be something more important about it. Either that we haven't yet remembered or that we haven't found, right? Like that we haven't like fully awakened to. I don't know. That's probably... this is probably enough weird for one video. Let's just open with that. So you guys tell me, have you heard of the Mandela Effect? What are your thoughts on it? And then what part of the collective are you? Are you the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstein Bears? Are you affected by the Mandela Effect? Tell me everything, and then there's more. Of course, there's more, you guys. I have more things to tell you and talk about that are related to collective awakenings, consciousness immortality, and timeline jumps. So, yes. And if anyone would like to come on and discuss this with me, I would love that. My husband would also love that because it gets him out of 3 a.m. conversations with me. So, okay, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you back for another video.